Mentioned at the start, back pocket questions. Could you
Yes.
say what that is and the context and how? Yeah, yeah, just expand on it because I'm a big fan
Yeah,
of how you talk about it.
I've been so pleased and surprised at how this notion has really resonated with people. I wrote an article for HBR Online. This is something I've been coaching my students and the people I coach for a long time. A back pocket question is simply a question that you have prepared that you can ask in a situation to help you out of a tricky situation. And a lot of tricky situations happen when you're speaking spontaneously. Let me give you two examples. Many times we ask if there are questions. We do Q&A and we say, does anybody have a question about what I just said? Or I've got 2 or 3 minutes to take questions. And there's this awkward silence and pause where nobody asks a question. So what most people do is they go, oh, okay, I guess there are no questions, thanks. And it sort of feels unfulfilling, awkward. There are many reasons people don't ask questions, only one of which is they don't have them. Sometimes people are too nervous to go first. They're not sure what their question is. They don't want to embarrass themselves. So we don't often always get a question, even though there are questions in the room. So I can actually ask myself a question. I can leverage a back pocket question. And I do this all the time. It sounds something like this. Are there any questions about the topic I just covered? I wait a few seconds, giving people an opportunity. And when nobody says anything, I'll say, a question I'm often asked is, or recently somebody asked me this. And I ask myself a question and then I answer it. And amazingly, other questions follow up. People just don't want to go first. Now, of course, know the answer to the question you ask yourself. Don't stump yourself, but it's a good way to get things going. I'll give you another example of where a back pocket question can help. The biggest fear people report to me around communication is that they're going to blank out, they're going to forget. Now, interestingly, the fear of blanking out itself makes it more likely that you will blank out. So we need to reduce that fear. And quite frankly, most people don't blank out. The fear far precedes the reality. But if you were to blank out, if it were to happen, what helps most people is just to take a little bit of time to recollect their thoughts. But what happens is we panic and it's really hard to think. So by using a back pocket question, I, in essence, can distract my audience. I do this when I teach. There are times when I teach that I forget what I want to say next. I teach the same course or I teach similar courses. I can't remember, did I say this, did I not? So I blank out. And what I'll do is I'll just stop for a moment and I'll ask my students, I'll say, I'd like to take a moment to have each of you think about how what we just discussed can be applied in your life. Now, my students aren't thinking, oh, Matt forgot. They're thinking like, how do I apply this to my life? That's right, I should. So in essence, I've distracted them on something that's relevant to give myself a little breather. And I believe everybody can come up with a question that you can ask as part of your communication that distracts people long enough to get yourself you're back on track. So a back pocket question is nothing more than something you think about in advance that can help you in tricky situations like when you don't get questions and you want them or you blank out with what to say.